How's it going, boys?
Good, buddy. How you doing? I'm still sleepy.
You're still sleepy? Yeah. Crazy game last night. We'll switch gears for a moment and talk about baseball. I know Ahmed, you watched it. Brendan, I think you were mentioning you didn't catch most of the game, yeah?
No, I only watched a little bit of it, and it sounds like I saved myself about 5 hours of watching Tide baseball. So maybe benefit for me. I didn't have to roll into the office at 6 or 7 o'clock Eastern time like some Toronto fans did. I'm sure that was super fun this morning, but there'll be some bleary eyes in Toronto.
Yeah. My brother-in-law actually was at the watch party at Skydome or Rogers, whatever they call it. He's there for a work conference, and his cousin got them watch party tickets. I messaged him at around, I think, 11 our time. I'm like, can we get some offense here, right? And he was still there, so I'm sure that would have been close to 2 a.m., right? That must have been in the 16th inning, I think, right? It's crazy.
Nuts.
But I mean, what are you gonna do? Like Brennan, what was that? When did they pull Scherzer? The 5th inning?
Yeah, that was like a whole decade ago by the way it feels.
Yeah. I don't know what was worse. That was a pretty bad call. And then I think they pulled Bouchard. But before that, Bouchard's base running on that. First of all, that was a horrible call, balls and strikes. That was a ball through and through. That was even higher than the previous ball they called, right? I don't know. But I guess with the pitching and whatnot, the umps, I think it was both sides were some really bad calls. But how do you get those things so wrong? It's just crazy to me.
That's kind of stuff that happens in preseason or maybe the first couple of games of the year. It should not be happening in the World Series. Played 100.
But regardless, why are you so like? You need to be making sure what the umpire is actually saying. He started. I guess he looked at his player. Bouchard looked at his player and started walking to first. But it wasn't even a 3-2 count at that point. That would have been strike 2, right? Just an awful error. And then we've got the third base coach, Ahmed's uncle, who waved the guy home. I don't know what that was about either. But a couple of blown opportunities.
It wasn't even close. I think it was just counting on the ball not getting there, but I that wasn't even close. I mean, the guy had nowhere to go. But the one thing I noticed last night is the lack of sliding properly. Like these guys, they do it better during the regular season. Why are you not sliding? Be a little bit more creative. Try to elude the guy who's got the ball. They weren't doing that. They were just straight going into the guy. I was like, okay. Well, Tani did that too, and he took his foot off the base on that one play there, and it's just kind of odd. I don't know, but that game was, man, oh man, that was long. All the bases loaded several times, and then pop-ups left, right, and center, and you could see the people were tired in LA, and I can't even imagine in Toronto. That was not the way you wanted to see it end, though, but it was,
Okay, here's my hot take. You just have to do what you do in the regular season. I know it's the playoffs, but just start somebody on second base. It's just going to have to be that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, today's a big day, though.
Yeah, today's, pivotal game, right?
Yeah.
I was joking with a friend of mine because I thought we were going to get the lead there at the top half of that inning. When did we leave the man on third? Was that the top of the 18th?
I believe so, yeah.
So it might have been the 17th. I was just joking around because Ohtani was coming up, right?
Oh,
yeah. If we get the lead here, do we just throw at him and break his hands? Right. But didn't that feel like an Oiler game? How many times did we have, or the Jays, assuming we're Jays fans here, how many times did they have to actually close it down, shut it down, and they made a mistake, and then it just came back and bit them in the butt, right? How many times? It's like the one season right there.
Night, for the Jays, you have to give it to them. They had a few key players out, right? Like Bichette went out, Springer was out. Some of their heavy hit, and I don't know.
Well, those were coaching moves that I feel like. Yeah. Oops, it's hard to second guess, but really, this is the same thing that happened in Seattle, where you go with the analytics and then versus best. They did that. They blew one of those games, right? Almost cost them the next round, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully you learn from that.
Yeah, I wish Guerrero had a better game, though. I mean, he did okay, but it was kind of like, how many at bats did he have? He kind of blew it. Just needed one from him, and then there's Ohtani coming in and just about everything. I mean, they walked him 4 times, and then intentionally, and still, oh my God, what a night!
Can I say something about baseball analytics? I love the Moneyball movie. I love the idea of being able to quantify and get value. But the analytics tell you that you should not have Max Scherzer pitching the sixth inning. And the analytics tell you that you shouldn't have a 41 or 42-year-old Scherzer on the hill in the first place.
Yeah.
But we're talking about human beings playing a sport. You know, there's blood pumping through the veins. There's adrenaline. There's pressure. Analytics don't really handle that. Analytics tell you what happened over 162 games, law of probabilities. There's some outliers, but you get rid of most of those outliers over 162 games. But when you have a must-win game in an individual one-on-one matchup, you got to trust your human beings out there, and you got to use your gut. All the numbers and the math go away. So I'm not a head coach. I'm not a manager. I don't pretend to know what it's like to try to make a game-altering managerial decision in a World Series. But I understand humans and I understand athletes. I've worked with a few. And I have to realize that the human element in any of these big moments is a lot bigger than the analytics crowd would like to acknowledge.
Yeah. I'm not a baseball expert, but some of the things that happened last night, Brendan, to me was like, you bring in Kershaw for one inning, and he almost had him, but he kind of bailed him in that one inning. What was the point? Was that like his goodbye? Thank you, baseball, because I know he's retiring. Is that why they brought him in? Because, I mean, he seemed like he did okay, but what was the point of that?
You got to get your name on the cup, I guess. You got to throw so many innings, right?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, and he almost blew it because the bases were loaded, right? And he popped up, but they almost had him.
How choked would we have been if Sam Gagner got into the Stanley Cup final a couple years ago and gave away?
I would have loved
it. if he turned it over, yeah, for sure. Mind you, the way some of those guys were going, I felt like Gagner should have been in a lot earlier in the playoffs.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Oilers and what's happening on the fourth line where Gagner would have been. We're definitely still missing. We're missing Janmark in the lineup. I think a little bit. He's still out. I think he could bring some value to that bottom six, but the bottom six I think is really struggling to make a difference in games, and the 5-on-5 just hasn't quite come together on the top two sets of lines either.
I think it's a perfect segue. What we were just talking about in terms of analytics and all of that in baseball. I think it's the same thing when it comes to hockey. I think that as we continue on into the season and we've got these grinding road trips and travel and whatnot, I think that sometimes the person that's been there, he may not, quote unquote, meet the advanced stats metrics, or he may not have as hard of a shot or whatever, but he's been through it before. And I think that as you go on, those are the kind of guys that separate each other from the rest, and it's a bit of a learning curve. And I think a lot of times, as you mentioned, Brendan, there's the human aspect of it, and we totally forget about that, right? Look at a guy like Lazar. I think he's gone in a couple of games, and I've actually liked his game. He seems like he's stayed ready, and he's done what he could with the minutes that he's got, right? And that's a true professional, and that's somebody with some experience, right?
Well, you don't know what you got till it's gone, kind of deal too. To Brendan's point with Janmark now being out, I know he's been part of a lot of trade rumors and how they want to move him because he's one of few guys on the team that don't have a no move clause in his contract, and he's worth about $1 million or so. And I was watching.
And he's not as flashy, yeah.
Well, he's not flashy, but he's effective. What he does on the penalty kill, he's great. Chasing down the pucks, he's great. On the line, he's playing, he's good. I know his contributions offensively have kind of dried out over the last year or so, but he's still
I think it's a recency bias, though, right? I think that he had a really weak Stanley Cup final. People sort of were expecting the same type of final he had in 2024, where I feel like him and Adam Henrique and Connor Brown had some magic. We didn't see that. So there's a bit of a recency bias. You're never as good as you look, and you're never as bad as you look, right?
Yeah.
There's always some form of, biasness depending on which way, the things are going, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel right now the issue with the team is just gelling together. I mean, some of these players that are out, I think these new guys that are coming in, you guys see it. It's a little bit sloppy. They're all over the place. They're not quite there yet.
We sit there and we get angry. That's the big thing, chemistry, right? They've got 7 new forwards.
Yeah.
And we've had a huge chunk of games this the the last month has been crazy. The schedule is going to slow down a little bit in November, and hopefully we get Hyman back. That'll be a huge thing. My big thing isn't so much about, you know, the 5-on-5 and all that. I totally get, and you know, the juggling of the lines and not finding chemistry for sure is an issue. But I think one of the bigger issues overall is the team just doesn't look engaged half the time. Like last game against the Canucks, you know, we had spurts, we had some big mistakes. It's the same story over and over. Thank God, though, I saw a little bit out of Frederic. I think I saw a little bit of what Bowman promised and what Bowman sees in Frederic. Not enough of it. Hopefully that's coming, but we need stuff like that. We need that from more people, right?
Yeah. We saw Draisaitl engage as well. I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was a point where Draisaitl just kind of like, okay, enough of this crap. I'm getting out of this funk that I'm in. I mean, you can't even call it funk. He's got 6 goals.
We'll have to see what happens tonight. Maybe that was just he realized that he's like, you know, the last night of his 20s, and maybe he had a little bit of like, you know, a meltdown and throwing a bit of a tantrum. Let's see if he can carry it.
What do you think, Brendan? What do you think the team needs right now to kind of get out of this 500 zone?
I like the whole theme of the show so far has been about the human element. I think we'll just continue on with that theme. But yeah, I think that the roster just needs to be a little bit more cohesive and just spend some time getting familiar with each other's tendencies on the ice. And I think right now the roster, the lineups on the forward group have probably finally started to click a little bit. Like we saw that in the last couple of games that they looked a little bit more engaged. There's fewer icings and, you know, missed connections in the neutral zone. And to have RNH with McDavid and Mangiapane, I think that works. I think that works as a line. Well, obviously, you'd rather see Hyman there, but Mangiapane hasn't been terrible. I mean, he's basically been what they thought they were getting from him when they signed him in this offseason. Like, I think that he's probably, you know, fair market value at this point.
Does that happen though? Does that happen though because Phelps been playing well? That we can move Nuge back over to the wing?
Yeah, I think so. And then going down to the second line, you know, Roslovic needs to start moving the legs, and I think he's finally done that in the last couple of games. And putting him with Podkolzin and Draisaitl, I think that just seems like the right kind of line. So
I like the chemistry out of Draisaitl and Roslovic last game especially. I thought as the game went on, I agree with you totally. You could see him getting comfortable because he's kind of they're starting to read off each other and whatnot. And that's one of the beauties. Sorry, Brandon, I cut you off there, but that's one of the beautiful things about Draisaitl is his ability to adapt, right? And he kind of takes him a bit of time, but then he'll adapt and he'll put the puck where he sees that you're going and you're going to get it, right?
Yeah, I do like to Brendan's point. I do like what the coach has done now. I think he's kind of heard a lot of media and everybody talking about the line shuffling and stuff like that. And I think he's kind of setting in on a little bit of a consistency with the lines that he has. I know from earlier today that the lineup is going to be McDavid again with Mangiapane and RNH on his wings. Draisaitl's got his best friend Podkolzin on one side, Roslovic on the other side. I like that snipe by Roslovic. We need more of that, you know. See what happens.
Sorry, Brendan, go on. What you didn't finish your thought.
Well, I think that was pretty much it. Like if the next 3 games, those top 2 lines can kind of get the job done, then I think that those are probably your forward lines for the next few weeks until Hyman comes back. And that'll probably be fine. That kind of team that can score, you know, a couple of even strength goals every game, and they can chip in probably 1 power play goal a game. That's 3 goals every night. And that gives you a pretty good chance to win, you know, pretty much any night of the week. Goaltending could be a little bit better, but it also hasn't been atrocious. It's been acceptable, I guess, in the last little while. And the defense, apart from making, you know, the glaring, you know, grade A chance that it once in a while allows, has overall been like pretty okay too. So this is a team that has just been overall very acceptable, which is what their record kind of reflects, right? They're a team that's got 10 points in 10 games. It's not enough to be, you know, a contender or even a playoff team if you extrapolate that over the season. But it's also not a horrid start like we've seen from the Oilers some years in October. It's basically just enough to keep their head above water and give them a chance to figure things out in November. And so I think that's probably the trend that they're on right now.
Yeah. I think better days are coming. This was one of the tougher stretches of the season for them with the number of away games and stuff like that. So hopefully it'll settle down for them. But I also hope that they don't underestimate teams like Utah coming in tonight, because those guys are firing in all cylinders. They're a young team. They're a very, very exciting team. I'm kind of looking forward to the game tonight. You know,
it'll be a great matchup. I don't think they're going to take them lightly because they know where they are in the standings. They know this is a team on a heater. Where they're more susceptible to maybe falling a little bit flat is against a team like Chicago later this week, who, you know, are traditionally bottom of the barrel, but they've had a pretty decent start considering the group that they. So they're more of a team that the Oilers could be guilty of taking a night off against and maybe not putting the points in the bank early in the season.
Yeah. I'm excited. I know that Hyman's skating right now. He's going to come back. He's probably going to go up with McDavid, you know, his usual spot. What do you do? Do you put RNH back down next to Draisaitl, or you push him down to center where Henrique's holding the third line?
Lee, want to take that one?
Well, I was actually thinking the same thing, and I was going to ask the same question. For me, what I don't understand, I'd like to get more clarity from you guys on, and then we can address that point, is my opinion, Noel Phelps been pretty good. He seems to be the one that's drawing out of the lineup on back-to-backs, and he's come out a few times. And we're seeing Savoy and we're seeing Howard, who I feel like is. I guess my question would be, when Hyman does come back, what's going to happen? Is Howard the automatic odd man out, and then you can send him down to the HL? Is that what you guys are thinking?
I mean, it's the easy thing to do, right? Because sending him down, you know, is the easiest thing to do. Savoy's playing okay. He hasn't been, he hasn't scored, but he's been playing okay. And I think Howard's just starting to find his stride. It'd be a shame, but somebody's got to go. I mean, you got to make room for Hyman. He's got to play, right?
Well, if you got to make room for Hyman and we got to make room for Janmark, then there's going to be two guys there. The only two guys I don't think that have to clear waivers. Does Tomasek have to clear waivers? I think he does, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. I think he does.
So there's only one guy I think that we can really send down, Howard. I think Lazar's got to clear waivers, right?
I think the chances of him getting claimed though are not especially high. Like I think
Lazar,
if you lost Lazar on waivers, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I think that's a risk that the management team might take.
I don't think Phelps going to be put on. I mean, if they do that, I would be extremely upset.
Yeah,
and I hope dedicate a podcast just to that.
Yeah,
probably from the insane psych ward because I'll go nuts. But back to your original question, Ahmed. I think that if it's me, I'm probably going to ease Hyman in. It's a finesse injury. Who knows how his hands are going to look? I don't think he's going to have any problem skating and whatnot. But if you remember Evander Kane, and it's a completely different injury than Evander Kane. Hopefully there was no nerve damage and whatnot, but he's got plates in his hands and stuff. And I feel like we need to ease him in. So I'm not sure if he's going to end up on McDavid's wing right away, but knowing Knoblauch, he probably will. And if that happens, then what I would like to see is I'd like to see Nuge center his own line. I like to see those three down the middle. I know that might make things a little bit easier, like then Tomasek maybe goes on the wing. But if we do that, I'd like to see Mangiapane with Hyman and McDavid. I think you keep Leon with Roslovic and Podkolzin, and then I think you got to go with Nuge. And I'd like to see Nuge and Henrique. And I'm not sure, maybe Savoy on the right side, and then you've got a fourth line of Phelps, Frederick, and maybe Janmark or something, right? I wouldn't even mind seeing Howard there for a couple games, right? That'd be a nice line. Give him he get some space there, right?
It's a good problem to have. This is called depth, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah. Switching gears though, back to the D. We're not gonna talk about Ekholm yet, but since the first 3 games of the season, I feel like he's been struggling. I think that I like the move, switching him out with Nurse, and Bouchard and Nurse looked okay. I was really terrified when I saw that lineup card on Sunday, but it looked all right. What do you guys think? Did you like that pair? And do you think that Regula is going to automatically come back in once he's ready, or do you think that they're happy with Emerson's play so far?
Well, that was Ekholm getting walked by Sherwood in the last game, right? Right. We got.
What was that?
That just one thing that I noticed. That was, I think, mostly everybody noticed. But the last 6 games, ever since I praised him and said he's been our best defenseman, he's essentially gone downhill. And that's why I was really, hesitant when Calvin Pickard made those huge saves when it was 3-1. I was really hesitant to praise him because I was thinking if I do, maybe that's the same thing's going to happen. So I held back on that. But yeah, since then I feel like his play has been kind of going downhill and downhill fast.
I think he's injured. I mean, you guys tell me. I'm just, I'm not a coach and player. I think players watching him and coaches watching him, there may be a book out on this guy that he can't turn to his right. I've noticed that more than, but that Sherwood play was the most evident.
Do you think, you might be onto something. Do you think that maybe that was the reason why last year in the Stanley Cup Finals he was playing the right side? Because he was having trouble turning that way?
Yeah, maybe because he was I mean, the guy went around him like a pylon. That's not the Ekholm we know. I just the body or something, right?
I just said we're not going to talk about it, but it sounds like we're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it.
Brendan?
Yeah, I mean, I already kind of shared my bit, but I think Ekholm, he's there for another, 3 years after this?
Yeah.
And it's going to just get worse and worse if it's going to continue this trend. We got to get through the first 3 games. You got to get through the first 3 months. And then we can talk about how good Ekholm's going to be over that 3-year contract. And I don't know. I see signs that he's not 100%. And I subscribe to this, hypothesis that he's not playing the way he can because he's not being able to respond physically the way he needs to. So the Oilers have some depth on defense. It's not a ton, but they have enough. I don't think you need to be playing Ekholm big minutes. They should be more sheltered minutes, at least for the next little while. And if they can get Regula back in the lineup, then do it. I'd rather have him playing at full speed than trying to get Ekholm out there and getting him broken down over the next 70 games before you have to rely on him in the playoffs.
My take on that is if he's injured, sit him. Let's not try and be humans here. Also, though, I feel like if Kulak can pick it up a little bit, maybe he takes a little bit of the pressure off. I haven't really been too impressed with Kulak either. I think I said this at the start of the year. I think I had high hopes for Regula. I liked what I saw, aside from the fact that he probably needs to keep his head up a little bit. I thought he had a first couple games were really good.
Just avoid games against Evander Kane would be helpful too.
Yeah. Well, Evander Kane, on the quick topic, he settled down because if you guys noticed at the beginning of the game, Frederick skated up to him, and even when the game started, a couple of times they had long discussions, and Fred basically told him, you got to stop, or else there's going to be. And he did. I didn't see much from Kane during that Canucks game. Maybe he got it out of his system or whatever it was, but I coming back to Regula, I think if he's there, they're gonna drop Ekholm to the third pairing potentially to give him a little bit less time and move up Regula. We do need somebody else, right?
So what do you guys think it'll look like? Do you think it'll look like Nurse, Bouchard, Wallman, Regula, and then Kulak and
exactly.
You think Kulak moves over to the right?
Well, the only guy who's really comfortable doing it either way. Am I wrong?
Well, I mean, Wallman plays the right side, right?
Yeah. But in the top 2 pairing, I think they just thrust him in there and see how he performs. I think he was doing okay.
Regular have some top 4 minutes and see what happens.
Yeah. He did okay.
I mean, so far, I know he was Bouchard's defensive mate back in junior, but so far it was a really small sample size. But he moves the puck really well.
Yeah.
But he's not as the cult of hockey would like to call, or would say rather, high event. Our good friend Evan, he's high event. I like Regula's game because he's a bit more steady, it looks like, right?
Well, this is all going to go how Nurse and Bouchard pairing goes, right? And if Ekholm is truly not able to play the way he used to because of injury, whatever, maybe age, whatever you want to call it, then we have a glaring issue on D. If the pairing of Nurse and Bouchard go back to what they were before, which was a nightmare every time they were on the ice, God forbid that happens again, I think the Oilers are kind of screwed. We're going to have to go out and look for another defender.
So, I'm going to go back to our early season previews and whatnot, and the analytics talking about how the Oilers have the best defense in the NHL. I questioned it then, and I'm definitely questioning it now. I mean, we do have some options, though. We have some depth. not a ton, like Brendan said. But I mean, we can if we're going with, let's assume we're going with the top four of Nurse, Bouchard, Wallman, and Regula. You know, Wallman and Nurse can flip flop and see if Bouchard and Wallman can play well together. Nurse apparently is supposed to thrive with the puck mover. I don't know if there's a better puck mover than Evan, but let's see. I mean, I think tonight the defensive pairings show that they're going to be playing tonight too, right? Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's
what's the second pair? Is it Ekholm and Wallman for the second pair?
Yeah, it is Ekholm, Wallman, Kulak, and Emberson. And Emberson we didn't touch on, but I'm not overly impressed with Emberson. I think that he could do better. But I don't know.
So there's been some rumors that him and Janmark could be traded once we're back to full strength to clear up some cap space. I honestly, I'm not sure why we extended him.
He's an asset. He's a gap fill, right? But I like Stetcher better than Emberson, to be honest with you. I think he's a lot more steady. I know he's your 7th defender right now, but when Stetcher's been in, he's played well. I mean, can you guys point to one game where he's been the cause of anything outrageous like Bouchard or Ekholm? You know?
If Stetcher was 6'1" or even 6 feet, I would wholeheartedly have him in there.
All day.
My issue with him is he loses battles because he's undersized, right?
Yeah.
Well, if he was taller, he wouldn't have got high sticked in Game 3 of the final. It would have just been an upper body slash. That wouldn't have been.
He wouldn't have been high sticked. He would have been like, castrated maybe.
Well, that was Mcdavid on Tyler Myers a couple weeks ago.
Tyler Myers on David, yeah. What the heck was that?
Yeah, I think Stetcher is a pretty decent defenseman. The Oilers have, solidity at defense. We talk about the analytics crew. I think they were mapping in 2024 Ekholm into that top.
That's
6.
right. Yeah,
and they don't have 2024 Ekholm anymore now. They have something else.
Let's I've criticized the contract and whatnot, but let's not forget, before Ekholm went down with that injury, he was playing pretty good. I think we were talking about this offline yesterday. He was averaging a point every other game, right? 30 some odd points in 50 some odd games. Not bad. He was so I mean, I don't know. I'm hoping for the best, but I would not be surprised if he falls off a cliff, right?
I like, this is the other thing, Brendan, you can chime in on this. I know we kind of rate players based on their point production, and I don't really care for that from Ekholm. I think positionally he used to be a very solid defender. It was his position, like, he's not a fast skater. We discussed that. He was a good skater, but not an amazing skater. It's just he's in the right place at the right time, and he was cleaning up a lot of the gaps that Bouchard was making. He was foreseeing what was going to happen, and he was putting himself in the right place, knowing that Bouchard's going to blow a wheel or whatever, right?
I don't think. Sorry, Brendan, I'll let you go in a second, but I just wanted to say something. I don't think that him getting walked by Sherwood is not really my issue. That's what a lot of people notice. But what you're saying, in the last 6 games, I feel like he's been a half a step just late. Now, a part of that was he's playing with Bouchard, and Bouchard's been absolutely atrocious. Maybe he's expecting Bouchard to be somewhere and he's not, and it puts him in an awkward position and whatnot. A lot of that happens, and you don't really notice it, right? You when you look up and the forwards have blown the zone, and you have to make a 2-line pass, and all of a sudden that's your 8th time trying to try it, and the forwards finally, or the other team's forwards finally realize that and they pick 1 or 2 off. It makes you look ridiculous, but that's really on Mcdavid, or that's really on Savoy, and it's not really on the D-man, right? So maybe there's some of that happening. I haven't really looked too closely, but Brendan, what are your thoughts?
I think as much criticism as the fans have levied towards Ekholm, he's still probably their best option in that top 6, even like an injured one, really. But if I was the coach, I'd probably give him a few days off. Like, just maybe take this homestand, give him the next 3 days off, say he's got, day-to-day something, and then, give Emberson, Kulak a little bit more time out there. It's probably not ideal, but you're on a homestand, you're playing against teams like Chicago and I think San Jose. Like, just don't force the issue. Make sure that he's rested up. And if he's coming off of that rest and he can't give you 100%, then you have a bigger problem. But let's see what happens on 6 days rest to see how he does coming on the next road trip. That would be my guidance to the team.
I hope it's something simple as that, as a simple rest. But I'm telling you, based on what I mean, it's just me, but what I saw, the way Sherwood, if it was like some fast player and Celebrini did that or whatever, I'd be like, okay. We're talking Sherwood, and I know he's not a slow player, but Sherwood making a move like that around you, and he didn't even want to challenge it. He didn't even want to take the body. He didn't want to turn his body. He was still looking straight ahead as if like he was frozen, like there's a cramp in his hip or something. That doesn't look good. That's not a 6-day resting. I think that's like a long term. I don't think he's fully recovered from whatever it was he was dealing with. Could be a groin thing or it could be a hip thing. But
the thing is, he looked good the first few games. He was by far our best defenseman, right?
Yeah.
Moving the puck, cleaning things up. So maybe something got tweaked. I have no clue.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing we have two really good goalies back there that can save you if there's a breakaway. The
Oilers
can we
hilarious goaltending saga. The goaltending saga continues, where they're the only team who has among the lowest in the league high danger chances allowed, and amongst the highest high danger goals conceded. Right? It's just as if they can't stop a breakaway. There's just
if it's a breakaway, it's basically in, is what you're saying, right? It's just
Can we talk about that Seattle game for a second?
Sure.
Breakaways aside, how many times did Seattle go from left wing to right? And how many times when that happened did Stuart Skinner go from 6'4" to 5'6"?
Yeah.
Right?
That movement is a concern. I mean, there's articles being written about it. He's diving across rather than I don't know, but give me another goalie that's really good.
I think that Valaket guy, there's him and there's another guy who's goalie analytics and whatnot. And I think they were commenting on flexibility of goaltenders. And I think that Brendan, you can probably speak to this. I know you had a beer league game over the weekend. So this is probably fresh on your mind. But when you're stretching across, you make yourself bigger versus when you're lunging across, you kind of I don't know, but it kind of made sense when he was talking about it. You guys are the goalies. You guys can elaborate.
So as a goalie, when you're on top of your game and you can really anticipate the play, you're going to put your whole body in front of the puck. Whereas if you're reacting slow, then you're really stretching out and reaching for it because you're reacting late and you're trying to use your athleticism to make the save.
And you don't have any athleticism, then you're screwed.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Skinner, I've always seen as somebody who's got a lot of size and you can't coach size. And he's done a lot of work to make sure that given that size, he's absorbing shots. The game 6 of the Stanley Cup final notwithstanding, where he punched that rebound right into the slot. Most of the time, he does a pretty good chance on that straightaway shot from 15 to 20 feet out. It hits him, it sticks, end of the play, right?
Yeah.
But when you get him moving around side to side, he's always reaching for the puck. He's diving for it.
Doesn't it, on breakaways and going side to side, like Marchand on that breakaway, was it in overtime or whatever, in game 2? He basically opened up the wickets and let that puck in. There wasn't even a shot on net, but he opens up. And I've commented about that for as long as I can remember. I mean, you can go all the way back to that Vegas series, right? It's like you're snatching a goal from the hands of the safe, right? If you don't do anything, it's going to hit you. I see that happening often, especially with him, right?
Players have learned to shoot at the goalie's pushing foot. So you have one foot that's pushing and another one that's kind of stretching, right? And if you manage to get the goalie moving, let's say he's pushing off of his right foot, he's going towards his glove side, his whole body movement is tracking towards that glove side. If you put the shot right at his right foot, there's no way to block it. The stick's not in the way, the foot's not in the way, the pad's not in the way, it's 5-hole goal. And I've seen that happen to Mr. Skinner on numerous penalty shots and breakaways. And so he'll sometimes react a little bit more statically and say, I don't want you to, get around me that way. I'll give you the upper corners and see if you can hit them. And NHL players are hitting those corners against him.
Well, it's that. I'll tell you what else I have observed with Skinner is that as a goalie, you kind of, I don't some of the greats, they force the shooter's hand. They anticipate a player coming in. They have their own book on the shooters. They know where these guys are going to go. They know if their backhand kind of player like McDavid, or they're going to shoot from a distance like Leon. So they position themselves. If I were playing a player that I knew was going to score a certain way, I would try and force their hand, prevent them from doing what they're used to doing. Skinner waits. He gives the shooters absolute will. They skate in. There's no poke check ever. I have not seen a single poke check from Skinner. I've never seen him, and he's always, for some reason, super deep in his goal, and I don't get that because
I was just gonna say that. I always remember, like, I didn't play a ton of goal. I played some goal in soccer, and I played a little bit of goalie when I was like 10 years old or something. But I always remember being told to come out and challenge and cut down the angle, and kind of work your way back. And especially if you're a bigger guy, you basically take away the net, and there's that shooter's illusion, right? Where you probably have more room. It's kind of the same thing as a defenseman, right? When I'm playing on that side, make yourself a presence, right? Jump up a little bit, like take 2 strides up, so that when somebody looks up, they're like, "Oh, this guy's there," and you're not really maybe covering anybody, but they see you and they're like, "Okay," they push away, because that's the difference, because you don't really have that much time, right?
Yeah.
And I don't see that with him. I see, like you said, he's playing like Henrik Lundqvist, but he doesn't have Henrik Lundqvist's
abilities,
like reflexes and flexibility, right?
I think as a goalie, sometimes you play a little bit deep when you're feeling slow side to side, because then you have less distance to cover, to track across the net. So he's probably gotten comfortable playing deeper, because it gives him the freedom to go side to side. But then when it's a breakaway or it's a shootout, he's still in that mindset of just play deep and get across, because he doesn't want to get beat side to side even on that breakaway. But it's happening because he's starting so deep.
Who do you think that he resembles the most? Would you say Mike Smith's a good comparison?
No, Mike Smith can handle the puck.
Big time.
Okay, well,
and Smith was an aggressive goalie. Smith is the kind of goalie who would come at you.
The puck. What's that?
Smith was an aggressive goalie. He would come at you. I mean, players never knew
Smith
what he was
also had the reputation of being of playing too deep. Sometimes when his game is not where it needs to be.
Yeah, but his glove, his reflexes, glove hand was like.
So
awesome.
You think Smith was a better athlete? So who's a good comparison? Is is Dubnyk a good comparison? Probably not, because Dubnyk again was athletic, right?
It's hard to compare him, honestly. It's honestly hard to compare. It's hard. He's a big guy, right? He's a big guy, but I would compare him to Koskinen. But Koskinen even was a little bit more. Koskinen was deep in his net all the time, but I think
Koskinen was an athlete, though. He was. I thought he was pretty agile. Yeah,
going side to side, like what Skinner does is the dive. For me, is a Hail Mary in football, right? You just hope you get it. That's
honestly, I liked Koskinen. I feel like I would have liked to see Skinner and Koskinen tandem. When he left, I would have liked to see that.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, this is where the league's gone with the bigger goalies that they don't care so much as to their athleticism as they do about their size and how much net they cover. And the game has really evolved to being a positional. Nobody stacks the pads anymore. I mean, Brendan.
But most of these guys, though, like Vasilevsky's pretty agile. You look at these 6'5" goalies. Like, look at the Stolars guy. I mean, wouldn't it have been awesome if we had him and then not put him on waivers? Because we did have him and we put him on waivers, or.
Bad decisions after bad decisions.
Was that the Cam Talbot deal? We got him in the Cam Talbot deal from like Philly or something, right? It was just a
throw-in.
Yeah.
Stolars
and Forsberg in the same season, and then we end up with none of them.
Didn't we cut Forsberg twice? Waive him twice.
We had to send him down, and then when he was available again, we didn't pick him up. Yeah. Ask Ken Holland. Don't ask me.
Yeah. Well, I'm hopeful for Ingram. I really hope this guy bounces back. I think
he just got lit up last night or the night before.
It's another guy like Campbell, right?
It's bring him up now.
Yeah, it's all between the years for him too. And I mean, he's a good goalie. He's gifted. I mean, I've watched him play, and he's good. He's athletic too. But I just I don't know, man. I miss Curtis Joseph is who I miss.
That was the last season goaltender we had.
Let's stick with the theme of the show. It's the human factor, right? You can't quantify this with analytics. The Oilers are not getting inspirational goaltending. They're not getting confidence-building goaltending. When you have a goalie, and it doesn't even matter if he's the best technical goalie in the league. We saw this with Calvin Pickard in the playoffs last year. The team wanted to win games for that guy in the net because they saw that he was going to battle and try to bail him out with mistakes.
Yeah.
And that kind of confidence starts at the crease and it moves out across the rest of the lineup, and you play a foot taller than you actually are because you have that goalie who's going to make that impossible save or make that, huge stop on the power play when, the other team made the perfect setup. You just get the stops.
Yeah.
And somehow the bounces tend to go your way when you're getting the stops in your own end. Somehow you're going to get that, bounce off a skate or bounce off the end boards at the other end, and it'll go into the back of the net, and things are just going perfectly for you at that juncture. So where I think the show kind of always goes back to is the Oilers goaltending is not where it needs to be for this to be a championship team. They can be a decent team. They're a playoff team. They can get, a lot of accomplishments on the individual level, but if you want to win, that position needs to be sorted out in a way that it hasn't been yet.
Yeah.
Well, that Vancouver game, right? Even the Seattle game, I don't think that we completely dominated wire to wire. The Calgary game was a great example, right? Where we carried that play. Calgary had no business being in that game, and the difference really was goaltending. But in this weekend, the weekend games, you had Joey Daccord holding them in when anytime we had pressure. It wasn't even a massive save. It was a solid save. Yeah. And the difference, I mean, same thing with Bouchard. He let in a couple of goals that I feel like I don't think Patrick Demko lets in, right? And it was the same story. And I think that's the difference is we don't need them to be like lights out. We just need them to be
average.
Solid. And when they're average to above average, but just solid. If you're making a solid save, like for instance, when it was 3-1, there were two like pretty good chances that were point blank in front of our net where Bouchard made a huge save, like a timely save. I think that's what it was. We were getting timely saves up until we weren't. And then when we get timely saves, it changes the course, right?
I think that's exactly what Skinner is not, a timely save guy. He's the complete opposite of Grant Fuhr. Honest to God. Grant Fuhr would let in, every goalie lets in bad goals, but it's about when you let it in. When it's a 3-2 game, you can almost expect it that it's going to be a tight game.
It's going to be
3 years. Yeah, whereas with Grant Fuhr, he shut the door. It was like, done. I got the lead now. You're not going to get anything, right?
Well, you know what? When you couple that with a power play that is not timely, which I have felt that our power play was not timely for the longest time. I was so surprised we got that goal. It's coming though. It looks like it's rounding back into form, which is great. But also on that power play, I haven't said anything yet, but what's wrong with Connor? I understand Leon scored that goal, but who's in a much better position to shoot there?
Yeah.
This isn't my take, so I'm not going to take any credit for it, but I saw a take online that said, hot take, Connor McDavid is overpaid based on his current production.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I said that the other day. I was like, this guy ripped us off.
Wow, man. Talk about like recency bias, eh?
You know what, though? Honestly, honest assessment again in that Vancouver game. I think I sent this to both of you. When you watch Leon and Connor, Leon, he plays well with Connor. He goes and plays well with Puck Poulsen. He'll go and play well with Nooch. He'll go and play well with some other person, and that's because he's adjusting, right? What did we see Connor try and do 8-9 times in a row? He went behind the net, he picked up the puck, and he tried to go end to end. And there's a couple times he got sandwiched, right? He can adjust. Game 1 of the season, when he came in and did that Gretzky turn and like everybody was off, he had like 4 minutes of room because everybody backed off and he turned back and he found Mangiapane, right? When push comes to shove, I'm not seeing adjustments. I'm not seeing taking what the D's giving you. I'm not seeing, hey, let's put it on net this one shift. Like Nathan McKinnon, for instance, will come down and he'll just waste a shot so that he'll just keep you on your toes. And I'll be like, okay, I don't know, maybe he's going to shoot, maybe he's going to pass. Where this guy's like, he's just going to pass, right?
That's the old Greg Maddux setup. We'll circle back to baseball for a minute, but Maddux would throw a pitch that a guy could hit.
Yeah.
Knowing that he needed to get him out later in the year.
Yeah.
And he would keep track of it. That's why they called him the professor. But
do you think McDavid's doing something like that?
No, I don't. But I think he could.
Except to Barry Bonds.
He should probably waste a few shots just to keep the defenders.
Well, he should.
If they're gonna back up that far, suddenly you're not shooting from the blue line. Now you're shooting from the top of the circles,
Just
and there's a potential screen or a deflection that's happening with that defender in the lane. Like, fire it up, take some chances, put it on net, see what happens.
And the thing is, I told Aleem this too, is that the passes that McDavid's been making are such soft little, and like the other players are anticipating his passes.
well, Ahmed, I think froze.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I'm gonna jump in really quickly while he sorts himself out.
Times.
Oh, there you are. You completely glitched out there. Why don't you repeat what you were saying? I think I don't think the recording caught it either.
I was just saying his passes are really anticipatable. Like other players are anticipating McDavid's passes. He's dangling players, but then when he makes the pass, one, it's not a hard pass. It's a very soft, gentle pass. Like he's setting the guy up for a one-timer or something. And 9 out of 10 times it'll get intercepted. And honestly, like if I had hair, I would be pulling it. That's what I'm saying.
Do you think he needs to slow down?
Well, maybe if it means making a better pass, if it means taking that shot, even if you're not going to score, maybe get it off the pads for the next guy to shoot it in. But he backs off like
what about that? What about that one where he just went end to end, deked out everybody, and then handed it to Demko?
I know, it's like he skated the puck to the goalie. Maybe also because there was nobody on his left side skating with him or fast enough to catch up, so he could pass it off. Something that
why didn't he shoot it? Why didn't he shoot it?
I know. He's.
I would take McDavid's backhander than half the NHL's forehand, right?
He's got a great shot, and he backs off more times than not, and it bothers everybody who's watching. I'm sure it bothers the coaches. If he took those shots, which he said at the beginning of the year before the season started, that he's wanting to score more goals. Well, buddy, take a lesson from Gretz. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and he's not taking them.
Maybe he needs to load up the old Wayne Gretzky 1-on-2 slap shot that he used to fire up there against the defenders from the top of the circles.
Maybe. I love Connor. I never want to criticize the guy, but for all he does, but he's got to take more shots. Like, come on.
I think that what we're talking about here, Gretzky said the same thing. He says when I'm shooting more, it's opening up other guys as well, right? So I need to shoot more. When I'm not playing my best game, I'm not getting shots on net. I need to get 6 shots on net. Basically, if Connor got 6 shots on net, Nuge could have a 50-goal year, right?
Well, this is what's happening in the power play as well. If you notice in the beginning of the year, the opposing teams are not expecting him to shoot. They're expecting him to pass. So they're covering all the guys. Like Leon doesn't have this one-timer anymore. There's always somebody standing there because 9 out of 10 times McDavid's looking for Leon for that one-timer. And that's almost completely vanished because everybody's anticipating it. Do something new. Take that shot. Don't pass it to Leon or anybody else.
This season was a snipe, right?
Yeah, it was.
McDavid needs some greasy goals, some like 2-foot goals from off of rebound. Yeah, crash the net. They don't all need to be highlighters,
No, they don't. I don't know. Hopefully he shuts us up tonight with a hat trick.
We're not getting any of those. We used to get quiet 4 or 5 point nights from McDavid, right?
Yeah, we're not
getting against Calgary, and he'd get like 1 goal and 3 assists. You look up, like I don't remember him getting all those assists, but yeah, I guess that happened, and then suddenly the Oilers winning the game 5-3.
Well, there used to be a time when he'd get you out of your seat once a shift, right? With a crazy back check or with some crazy end-to-end move and just somebody just like breaking an ankle. We're not seeing that. And I mean, I don't think we're asking for that every single shift, but we need to see, those quiet nights. I'll take a couple of quiet nights, right? Where he's got 3-4 points, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's still doing okay. I'm not going to get too critical of the guy. I just wish he scored more. He has certainly the opportunities to shoot
It's not even about scoring more. I'm telling you, if this guy starts to shoot more, it's going to open up the offense for us. If this guy starts to drive the net and crash the net a little bit, I guarantee you we're going to see, what's his name, Matt Savoy and all these other guys do it. These guys will follow, right?
I think that goes for the whole team. Shoot more. How many games have I seen so far where they're going into the third period and they have 12 or 13 or 14 shots?
I think just in general, when you have new guys on your team, it doesn't hurt to just shoot the puck, right?
Yeah. Well, big game.
Half the NHL's offense is getting the puck back to the point, swarming the net and shooting, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're going to be forced to go toe-to-toe with a very fast team tonight in Utah. And, young, energized team, some really good, solid players. And I don't like this trade-off in skill show. I do want to see a game where everybody's playing their position and a little physicality. I think they did a little bit of that. They were guilty of doing that against Montreal. We were lucky to come out in that game because um,
You know,
I don't like those let's show off the more skill.
one thing that I feel like I'm hoping we're not seeing is we're not seeing our team speed. That Montreal game, Seattle, we don't, even Vancouver, we don't look like a fast team right now.
Exactly.
It's eerily similar to last year before we got Jake Wallman. We were getting like first couple games of the season, Calgary rolled us. Then I remember watching the Chicago game, and I'm like, what the hell? It looks like we cannot keep up with Chicago. What is wrong with us? Part of that was the hangover. Part of that was, I keep hearing Stauffer and DeBrusk talk about the fact that, hey, they played meaningful games. So it's really hard to get up for a Tuesday night game, in October. To me, that's a bunch of bullshit, right? You should be pissed off because you lost in the finals and you want to just roll the league, right?
Hey, Liam, I'm watching the clock. We're probably at the point where we enter our closing thoughts for today. So
yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah. Any predictions for tonight?
I think the Oilers will pick up a point in overtime.
An OTL?
Yeah, that looks like an OTL, maybe in a shootout. But I think Utah is just too hot. They're the hottest franchise in the league right now.
I think we go how Bouchard goes tonight. We got a really fast team, and we got Bouchard playing D with Nurse. And if they're productive tonight, if they play solid, I think we have a good chance in OT. And if they kind of falter, then I think it's going to be a high-scoring game for Utah.
$20 million D. Unreal. So if we've got, let's say we have McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge, and we have Bouchard and Nurse on at the same time, how much is that? Is that like half our cap right there?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Jeez, we would have to put Calvin in just to stay under the cap, I guess. I'm saying
there's a playoff cap. Should there not be a power play cap? How many players you can put on the ice at one time?
I say 5-2 win. Let's see what happens.
Nice optimistic take there.
How about the Blue Jays? You think they can get to Ohtani tonight?
Ooh, that was a gut-wrenching loss last night, just because of how long it went and the way it ended was. I think they're going to fight for it. They have no choice.
I think Ohtani is going to be out of gas after getting on base 9 times last night.
I hope so.
I'm a bit worried about Springer. They didn't pull him from the game. He pulled himself from the game, right? I was joking around a little bit. I was like, is that his sign stealing grip that got injured? But seriously, if he's out, we're in a bit of trouble. Marshall played great in center field, but yeah.
To be determined. We're going to go overtime if we get back into the Jays. Let's just get on.
All right, and signing off.
Sign off there.
All right, guys.
Take care, guys. Go Oilers. Go Jays.